So I've had enough people ask me in the comments of my videos, how do I download this game? Where do I play this game? Can I play this game on mobile? And rather than just telling you to figure it out yourself, I thought I'd just show you how to do all of it. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to do the following: where to find Pokemon fan games, how to download and play Pokemon fan games, how to update and patch Pokemon fan games, and how to transfer save files. I'm going to have segments for both Windows and Android, so feel free to skip ahead to the timestamp below depending on what device you're playing on. Alright, so let's start with how or where to find these games. You can do so by just googling Pokemon fan games, or, just the name of the game you want. Now, from here, it's important to understand the best places to download the games from. The top 3 safest will always be Poke Community, EV Expo, or an official website dedicated to the game. A website called Reborn Evo is also fine, but fan games outside of Reborn, Rejuvenation, and Desolation rarely get posted there anymore. You usually want to avoid other sites since the information and even download links are, in my experience, plastered with ads and or decoy links that lead to potential malware or viruses. But let's say you can't find any of those options. And this usually happens when you're looking for a foreign game recently translated to English that might not have been posted to any forums yet. In this situation, we're going to go to YouTube and type in the name of the game. Now, a few YouTubers might leave links in the description that unfortunately lead you to those bad sites I mentioned earlier. In my experience, these are usually the creators who just upload footage of the game with zero commentary and royalty-free music playing over the background. But I don't want to single anyone out, so here are 4 creators that usually leave the direct download links for the games in the description of their video or playthrough playlist: Hero Voltzy, Sacred Almighty, Ryzen, and PokeHacks. Let's move on to the most officially supported way to play these games, and that's on a Windows PC. As much as I would love to make a guide for Mac or even Linux, I don't own a device with either of those operating systems, but if that changes, I'll be sure to make a guide for them. After you found the download link to your game and, well, downloaded it, we now have to locate it on our device. Excuse my messy desktop, I'm not a very organized person. I'm currently using Windows 11, but in my experience, this method should work just about fine on any other version of the operating system. First, you're going to want to hit the Windows key on your keyboard, and then type in File Explorer. Once this tab opens, you're going to want to go to Downloads, and the file should be right there. For some reason, if it's not, then go back into your browser, go to the 3 dots in the top right corner, and look for Downloads. You can also access this by hitting Ctrl+J if you're using Chrome. From here, you can click on the folder icon that says Show in Folder, and that'll bring you right to the location of the game file. Since Insurgents, the game we downloaded, is just a zip file, we can go ahead and right-click it, click Extract All. Once that's done, we can open the file and take a look inside. You're going to see a bunch of different things here, but the only one you really need to worry about is Game, or game.exe, which we can double click, and there we go. There might be instances where the game you downloaded isn't a zip file, and instead a .rar, 7-zip, or other compressed file, which in that case means we need to download an extractor. I personally like to use WinRAR, as you can see me downloading it here, but 7-zip also works. Once WinRAR is installed, you can go ahead and right-click the .rar file and click Extract. This method works about the same for most Pokemon Essentials and PSTK games, but some games do use an installer, like Xenoverse for example. The process to install that game, though, just requires clicking Download and launching the installer. If you happen to have played an unfinished game and want to continue your save once a new update drops, you're going to have to understand the following. First of all, your save files are stored separately on your PC, and we'll talk about the specifics for that later. But that means that most of the time, all you have to do is download the updated full version of the game, and once you've tested that your save file is working, you'll be safe to delete that old version if you really want to. But there are cases where developers put out smaller updates called patches that aren't full versions of the game download, because having to upload or download nearly a gigabyte worth of files for just a few bug fixes is annoying for both sides. In a couple cases, such as Rejuvenation for example, all that needs to be done is running the updater application, and there we go, all is well. But that's a pretty rare situation, so let me explain to you how to do it the proper way. First, you're going to want to find and download the patch, just like you would with the game. This is something that's usually near the download button on whatever site the creator is officially hosting the game. Once you have that, extract it just like I went over earlier. Now you'll find yourself with a collection of files that should look something like this. Now all you have to do is copy the files and paste them into the main game folder, just like that. For the final section of the PC segment, let's talk about locating save files in case you want to transfer them to a different device, or just keep backups of them. In 95% of cases, the game is saved to one of two places. We'll first have to go to This PC, Windows, Users, the name of your PC, and from here we have two options. For most older Essentials games, you'll find them right here in the Saved Games folder. For newer Essentials and PSDK games, you'll have to go to the App Data folder, and then the Roaming folder. If it isn't here for you, then you can instead hit the Windows key and type %appdata% and hit Enter. Once you find the folder of the fan game you're looking for, inside you should see an RPG XP data file called Game, and that is your main save file. Now, one interesting tip if you want to have multiple saves for older fan games that don't have that as an option is copying the file and renaming it to something else, or just moving the file to another safe location. And if you ever want to return to that save file, just repeat those steps for your new one, and then rename the old one back to Game. Alright, now let's move on to Android, which if you own an iPhone or another device that does not use the Android operating system, then I apologize, there is currently not a way to play these games on your device. So the first thing we need to do is install an app called Joiplay, which is basically an emulator for RPG Maker games. I'm using the default Google Chrome app, but any other browser app will also work fine. We can acquire said app by going to the Joiplay Patreon page. Now, let me immediately make it clear that the app is completely free, despite it being hosted on Patreon. But anyways, we want to download the latest version of the app, and the RPG Maker plugin. Once both of those are installed, we now have to go to an app called My Files, navigate to Internal Storage, then Downloads, and scroll down until you find the Joiplay app, and the RPG Maker plugin, which should be right next to each other. Tap on both and install both. Then you're going to want to open the Joiplay app, allow access to your files so that the app can, access the game files, and then there we go. Your screen should look something like this, excluding all of the games, because, we just downloaded it. Now we actually need to download the games, which I suggest watching the first segment to find out where to download them. But once you've located your game, hit the download button, and once it's downloaded, you should find it the same way we did on the Joiplay app. Hold down on the file, hit the three buttons on the bottom right, and then hit extract. Now, again, this might be a compressed .rar file instead of a zip, but luckily that's an easy fix. You'll need an app called RAR in all caps, as you can see here. Once it's installed, allow access to your files, and then follow the same steps we took to find the Joiplay app. Hold down on the file and hit extract. Extracting files on your mobile device will take a lot longer than on PC, so I suggest putting your phone down for a few minutes while you wait. With that done, let's go back into the Joiplay app. Hit the plus icon in the top right corner and tap Add Game. Navigate to the Downloads folder, then the Game folder, and Add Game or Game.exe. From here, you can choose to rename it, add a version number, or the display icon if you'd like. Now, here's where things get interesting, because there are a great number of games that won't load on Joiplay or function properly, and I'm going to show you how to solve that issue for just about any game. So you'll first need to join the Joiplay Discord, and yeah, I know a lot of people don't want to do that, but it doesn't take much effort, and it's not like you actually have to interact with anyone there. Once inside, you're going to want to find the search bar and type in the name of the game you're looking for. You'll likely find other people having the same issues, and a user named GFY replying to them with fixes for these issues via patch files. Now, I know that downloading random files from random people on the internet isn't a good idea, but I've downloaded these files myself tons of times, and they aren't very large, and I haven't had any issues myself. But, of course, at the end of the day, you'll still have to download them at your own risk. Okay, now let's actually install those patches to our Joiplay game. For the patches we got from Discord, first locate them using the same method as the timestamp on screen. And once you've found them, simply copy, move, or cut them into the game's main folder, as you see me doing on screen. Once it's there, make sure that the file is actually named Patches and not Patches1 or Patches parentheses 1, or really anything else. For update or bug fix patches, we're going to select all of them by holding down on the screen and dragging down. Then again, copy, move, or cut them into the main game folder, and make sure you hit Replace All. If you're on the newest version of Joiplay, then all should be well, but in case that doesn't work, you could always just try removing the game from the app and re-adding it, which in my experience has never affected the files or save in any way. Save files for Joiplay are actually stored right inside the game folder, so if you wanted to transfer it to the updated version of whatever game you're playing, all you have to do is hold down on the file and copy it into the new folder. Transferring saves to other devices can be done in many different ways, whether it be emailing them to yourselves or uploading them to your own Google Drive and downloading it later. But what I like to do is just make a private Discord server and just upload the files from my PC or phone and download them on the other device. But if you want to know where to find the save files on PC, then make sure you watch the segment about it. Timestamp on screen or in the description. Finally, there are a few games that don't work on Joiplay. First of all, any game made with PSDK is currently not supported, and I can't confirm if it ever will be. PSDK is much newer than Pokemon Essentials, and it has a lot less games made with it. Secondly, Pokemon Flux and Pokemon Xenoverse, in their current states, are also not compatible, mostly due to the way they're compiled. Finally, while Infinite Fusion is compatible with Joiplay, the steps to set it up would be just about as long as this video. And since I'm not going to be covering it in any of my future videos, I didn't really want to double its length just for one game. But there is also a full installation guide made by another YouTuber that I have used myself, as well as a much more updated and official guide made by the official developers, both of which I will be leaving in the description. But that's going to wrap up this video. I hope you found it useful, and I hope you'll share it with your friends that also want to start playing Pokemon fan games. Anyways, be sure to subscribe and check out my many videos on Pokemon fan games and ROM hacks. I hope you have a nice rest of your day, and goodbye!